Hi, how are you? Nicole here. As you can see, I am going au naturel. Okay, I wanted to pop on here quick because, um, wow, I feel like I am becoming more mature and I wanted to celebrate with you. I'm being more mature. Okay, so why I'm happy today is I've talked about anti-work movement and, oh, look at Marley's just walking. Come back, Marley. Okay. Anyways, so we're talking about anti-work movement and like this capitalistic 1% and being a cog in the machine and feeling that and not liking the 9 to 5 work grind because I would really like to be hiking all the time as much as possible. Yeah. And I was really feeling that. And I'm not wrong. Like, people who feel that, they're not wrong, I don't think. But I realized that this was causing me quite the unhappiness, that, and also this like fear of not having my own children ever. And I was like, whoa, slow it down. Like, slow it down. Slow down time. I'm going to slow down time for myself. And I highly recommend. I'm just at a point where it's like there's so much data coming in from social media and all these external sources like Jordan Peterson and his daughter and what they have to say and what other people have to say. I listen to more than just Jordan Peterson, by the way, like Alan Watts and a lot of dead guys, Terrence McKenna. I'm trying to spend less time doing that and more time introspecting, even though I introspect quite a bit, obviously. Yeah, so I get really scared and like I hate when it's like your value as a woman in society is your beauty, and let's be real, your beauty is fading. So, and you have the biological clock of your body. So, if you want to have a baby, better get on that. And there's truth to that. Like, when you're dating, I've learned quite a bit like about boundaries. And I don't know, I guess that was what my dating experience really taught me. And yeah, like I get really scared about, as I get older, maybe some of my things that I want for myself aren't going to come true. And can I live and survive? And then I realized through that whole journey that there's like quite a bit of arrogance that lives inside of me. I'll just be honest about it. I'm taking a look at my shadow, and yeah, to be honest, like, I hate giving you the reference frame because I know people that watch this will be like, oh yeah, Nicole is really arrogant, and then they'll just see me that one way because I gave that to you and said that. But like, yes, I was arrogant and can be quite arrogant and selfish. I used to think I was a very kind person. Kind club. Kind club. I used to think I was a very kind person, and I am, don't get me wrong. But not always. I haven't always. I'm not proud of everything I've done. And I don't know, that's okay because I'm here now. So, yeah, I kind of realized that I was a bit arrogant. And so, why I'm talking about arrogance is because I guess I really thought that the universe kind of owed me something. Like, I didn't know I thought this, but as everything played out in my life so far and my attitudes towards it and how I coped, I started to realize that, oh my goodness, I think that the universe owes me a baby. Like, well, you gave me the instincts to want a baby, so now you owe me it. And if you don't make it happen, like the divine timing or whatever, then I'm unhappy. And if the problem isn't God, then the problem is men, then I'm going to be mad at men for not doing their part. And if the problem's not men, then yes, I will take a look at myself and try and, think about what I have to offer to a man in a relationship. Anyways, I've gone down all those paths, all those thought paths, and I kind of realized that, well, does the universe owe me a baby? Does anyone owe me a baby? And I was like, no, I don't think so. Even though I do have instincts to want a baby, and even though people like Jordan Peterson talk about how if you're 45 and you don't have a baby because you prioritized your career as if that was a choice, then like you're gonna be very lonely. And I'm like, well, I didn't choose this, and I don't want to be lonely, and I know that's going to happen. And actually, that's not why I want to have kids, it's because I'm scared of being lonely. I want to have kids because I want to have babies because I like taking care of babies. I want to watch them discover the world. Like, I want to share the good parts of the world with them and protect them as much as possible from the dangerous parts. And I'm curious to see what, like, my baby would look like. I'm curious to see what kind of personality, what they would say. It's kind of amazing to create a whole other human, like super amazing. It does make you a god. We are gods. We all are. I know that, like, sometimes I get scared saying that kind of stuff because I'm like, oh, my audience is gonna think I'm crazy and then disregard everything I say. I hope my audience finds some value in whatever I say. I do. So, for myself, right? Like, it's a very introspective, like active imagination level kind of stuff, I guess. But I'm super happy because I'm starting to realize that, okay, like I thought about this quite a while ago and I haven't shared these thoughts publicly before, that like, oh, my arrogance and my shadow side, and like taking a look at parts of myself that, and with a more honest, as honest a perspective or filter as I possibly can. And yeah, like, ooh, but I feel really happy acknowledging this because it kind of takes the pressure off. Like, yeah, I might not have a child. It's kind of out of my control. Like, it's like how the cookie crumbles, you know? And I can just say that that's fate and be happy with that. And in any situation, look at what I do have. And actually, I do have a baby. Marley's my baby. And it's weird how all of this, like, I actually am becoming more mature. And it's kind of crazy how it happened. But basically the last 7 months of my life have been very, very, very difficult. Like, extremely difficult. Because I gave up. So I went from studying midwifery, which, oh, you can't see it. I'll just shift it for a second. Okay, studying midwifery. And believing that I was going to become a midwife, which is what I wanted to do after I already had an engineering degree. I worked a couple years in engineering, didn't like it because I didn't like it was a big transition and loss of community. And so it was natural that I would struggle with that. And my solution was to try again and pick a different career that I thought, because I knew a lot more about myself. Like, I'm very tactile. I like working with my hands. I like physical things, and I like working with people. Midwifery, healthcare, there it is. Like, I'm smart enough to do it, so why not? But I really failed to think about the realities of healthcare in Canada. And that's a future video that I am planning right now, and it's to come, about basically what went down. But I don't want it to be petty, you know? It's not anyone's fault. It's just how you divvy up political, like how we divvy up our money, so like our social money, so the tax, how we divvy up tax, and like how much goes to healthcare and how we run that, and it's complicated. It is incredibly complicated. However, I don't mind complicated things. So, okay. So, yeah. So how I became more mature was actually my dog got sick. And I was watching this tarot video. I watched a couple tarot video cards, videos on tarot, where you get readings, and they're like, July is going to be the best month for you. Your world is going to change. And when you're upset, like when I'm upset, I tend to believe that stuff more, which is why I talk about cults and like John Doe, and was it John Doe? Anyways, Heaven's Gate, which is a cult. And being really careful about how much I invest in some of these things, because you could take it far and it can be completely inaccurate. So yeah, so tarot can also be dangerous depending on, you know, how much of like yourself you kind of like attach to it as an identity, or like, oh, this is going to save me because the tarot said this, and then a month later, like, you are not saved because the only one who can save you is yourself, right? For the most part, unless you fall into a river, in which case you have to be picked out of that river by somebody else. Okay, so my dog got sick. So Marley, I have some bad news here. Marley actually has a tumor, and it was really upsetting. And I was like, why the heck did the tarot tell me I was gonna have this best month ever when it's actually the opposite? And he is dying. Well, we're all dying in some sense. I shouldn't say it like that. Let me take that back. He's not dying. He's living. Look it. He's alive right now. He's lying in the sun. He's tired because I took him for a walk. He's not sad or sick or anything. He actually has quite a bit of energy, and I don't want to tease him, but I'll prove it to you. Marley, do you want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk? Okay, later. I'm sorry. Anyway, so he has a tumor, and it's growing on top of his colon. So how we had to go to get x-rays because he wasn't going to the washroom. He wasn't going poo. And for like 3 days, and his stomach was getting bigger, and we're like, and we were feeding him the same. So we took him to get the vet, had an x-ray, and yeah, it's like a bottleneck. So now he's on a special diet, and I take him for 4 walks a day. Okay, so that was really upsetting for me. He is my baby. I love him. He's 11 years old. We've been together for a long time. I take care of him. I'm his primary caretaker, and I really love Marley quite a bit, and I'm very thankful to have him in my life. He's never growled, not once in his life. Maybe that's a cockapoo thing, but he's never growled. He's a crier. He cries, but he has never growled once. Like, you could take his food away, he's not going to growl. He might cry though. So he's a crier, like his mama. And so that forced me into a routine, and also doing more exercise, which has seriously helped. And I have talked about drugs on this channel before, so I want to be really honest. Yeah, I have partaken of recreational drugs, and so there's varying degrees of how much I've done in any chapter of my life. So of course, like, there's been worse chapters and better chapters. I don't have a drug addiction. I'm not addicted to anything, but I can go hard on my body. And that was also kind of like, I want to treat my body as well as I can, but I also like adventure and fun and partying, and I really like partying. Can you party without drugs? I mean, yeah, but like, wine is wine, alcohol is alcohol. Like, I think we understand why we like it. And caffeine is caffeine, and I think I understand why I like that too. And then, I mix with my own arrogance, which is sort of like deeper down and not on the surface, to myself. Like, I wasn't always aware of my own arrogance. It's like, well, I'm an engineer, and I'm also know a lot about medicine. So if I engineer my body to do whatever I want, like, I'm smart enough to do it, which is arrogant on my part, I know. So anyways, I've been really taking care of my health, and I'm feeling really great. And because the dog got sick, that has actually helped me a lot. And isn't that just so, there's something spiritual there. Like, I think in this life, actually, death, as painful as it is when your loved ones go, is sort of something that is owed to all of us. I mean, here I go talking about what the universe owes us again. But it does seem to be true. I mean, everyone dies. Everything dies. And so it's like, rather than fear it, can we just make it a gift that we're all owed and that we all will receive? And even Marley is owed that. So rather than thinking of his death as this terrible separation that is from a cruel universe that would make us die, it's better to think of it as a gift that we all are owed. And yeah, I do think that there's beauty in that. And I mean, I do believe in the afterlife, and I do think, I know there's like, I've explored some of these spiritual channels, and like, people have opinions about pets, and some people are really like, no, pets don't have souls. And I'm like, not sure why you would choose to be on that side. Like, I prefer that pets have souls. I don't know one way or the other, but pretty sure they do. So yeah, like, I will see him again. I'm certain of it. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back in my life as another dog. I definitely think my other dog, Maddie, he's downstairs, has been a dog for a long time, or is an alien, because he's very strange. And one of my ex-boyfriends who spent a lot of time with him said that he was well, he used the R word, but he said that he had like some kind of mental delay. And I'm like, I don't know how you would tell if a dog had that, but he certainly was weird, like all the way. He's not dumb though. He's smart as any other dog, as capable and functioning as a dog can be. Yeah. So so Marley got sick, and now I am taking care of him. And so we changed his diet, walks, and lots of massages, and yeah, it's bringing a lot of joy to my life, because naturally I do like taking care. Like, I loved being a nanny, and it's more than just the meaning behind raising a child. It's also like the day-to-day life of taking care of another being fills me with a lot of joy, and it does not come from a place of like, oh, I need a reason to exist. It comes from a place of like maternal instinct, where I'm just like, yes, this feels like the right thing to do. I am changing that baby's diaper. I am massaging my puppy's belly so he can go poo. Like, it just feels simple and slow, and I love it. I really do. Like gardening, it's a secret key. I can tell because I can feel it. And so with that has helped me. Exercise, routine, and yeah. And then it's a lot easier for me to like not get bored and, do things that maybe aren't so good for my health. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy. And then also, this coincided. It coincided with, so I started this video by saying that I like my job, and like leaning in actually turns out to be good for your mental health. Who would have known? But I have discovered it on my own. And maybe I could have listened to people's advice sooner. But anyways, so work got busy. So how it works in engineering, at least in my job, is that like things go by like evenly. So I have a good work-life balance until submission days come. Kind of like university, where it's like all of a sudden you have exam season and you are like, time to work all the time to get this done. So, I'll get a submission day where I'll have to put in 12 hours. And it's not something I can always control, because it's something that gets coordinated with different people. So, we need to work together to put the pieces together. And it always happens, like couple days leading up to submission days, you are going to be working. You're going to be hustling. But the more you hustle, like sometimes it's validating when you hustle enough that you don't have to work extra hours. And you're like, yeah, I fit it into the 8 hours. Yes. Mad respect. But yeah, and at first, like, I had a really negative attitude about work, and I thought about all the things it took me away from, such as hiking and the sun, and I really focused in on that quite a bit. I don't think I'm wrong, but to focus in so much on the negatives obviously is going to make me feel worse and make me do worse. Whereas if I focus on the positives, it can like motivate me and kind of act like I won't always be here. So it's temporary, as everything is. And so work got busy, and then I discovered like it forced me to work hard, which helped to kind of snap me out of my negative attitudes towards work. And that coincided with me also making changes in my life, my personal life. So basically I'm starting to like my job, and I'm kind of shocked. Like, I'm like, how could I like this office job? This desk job, my ball and chain. How can I, is it what is that? Why can I now remember Berlin syndrome, where you start to fall in love with your kidnapper? Is that what's happening to me? But I like it. And it's better to be happy than to not happy, but peace. It's better to feel peace. And, okay, so I'm feeling happier, and it's because these things kind of happened where I started to lean into work, and then I recognized that there were a lot of elements that I still loved about being an engineer, which was the camaraderie among all else, the camaraderie. Like, when I work with engineers who have done it longer than me and have more experience, and I can see the wheels spinning in their minds, and then they just like start talking and explaining, and oh, it is so incredibly satisfying, like a fine dining experience, satisfaction of seeing people working and learning from them and just being like, yes, like this feels right to me. That's instincts, and like going with that and kind of being like, I'm gonna go in that direction instead of something that makes me feel sad, like thinking about how I'm not in sunlight right now. And so, yeah, there is a lot of satisfaction in engineering, a ton of satisfaction. It is so fun to work with people and to solve problems. And then like you really feel like it's like sports. It's exactly like sports when you do a really good job and you're truly proud of how your team performed and yourself, and you guys are high-fiving each other. It is just what my soul needs and wants and craves. I love it. Oh, it feels so good. And it's community. And so there is community at work to some degree. It doesn't look the same, and university is so much fun. It really was a ton of fun. I'm starting to recognize that it takes a lot of work to build your own community and kind of carve out your own path, which I'm consistently working on. And I was like, church, sports, and all these things. YouTube. And and now I'm starting to find community at work, which I never thought I would even find it there. Like the cubicle life, and check out my cubicle life video. It's funny. But yeah, like the cubicle life living actually can foster some level of community in and of itself. And there's people I really like working with because I'm learning. And so that leads me to my next point, which is that I also started to realize that oh crap, I lost it. Okay, let me try and think. Let me try and backtrack through my thoughts. My identity. Okay, so when I was in university, I used to think about this quite a bit. I used to think about what I staked my identity on, or my ego. I think I might be wrong about this, but I think that it is right to say this, that it's correct, that everybody stakes their ego on something or multiple things. Like, and what I mean by stake your ego or stake your identity, it's like, what is your purpose in life? Like, what gives you a sense of like, I am doing well and I'm moving in the right direction? And so that's like, I call that like, what do you stake your ego on? So some people, and I've noticed, like I used to in university, I'd be like, I'd watch, like, because I wanted to know for myself. I'm like, what do I stake my ego on? I didn't know. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll look at what other people do and see what resonates with me. And I noticed that a lot of people stake their ego, especially women, on being kind, which is actually being arrogant. Like, if you're like, hey, I am moving in the right direction, this is who I am, I'm a kind person, it's actually, there's a flip to that, which is that it's a paradox. It's a paradox because you're being arrogant, like, as well, when you say that and feel that way. So you're like, you're congratulating yourself on being kind, but somehow it's arrogant. But it is, I'm not wrong. And I'm guilty of it too, so don't worry. But also, you have to be careful with your health. Like, if you are like really like, oh, what makes me is being kind to others, like, be careful. You don't want to be a pleaser, a people pleaser, and like not put other people's needs above yourself. Not good for your health. So there's balance there. Balance. And also, I think I'm kind. Like, I want to be kind. So I guess I do stake my ego on it somewhat, but not really. Okay, let me continue. So kindness, achievement, money, career. Those are like the common themes of what people say is like the most important thing in their life. And so I really wanted to like parse that apart for myself and what I've learned, because basically ever since finishing university, I was feeling unhappy, like a general sense of being unhappy and not knowing what I'm doing. And so finally, full circle, I came back to that question. And I realized, because I'm doing better at work, I'm liking work, I'm getting better at my job. I'm 7 months into this job, and I took a 2-year break too. So it was a transition to like get back into it. But what I'm realizing is I know what I stake my ego on now, because I had it in university, which is why I couldn't really figure it out. But when I lost it, then I'm like, oh, I've seen the two opposite extremes, so now I understand, which is how TE works, I think, which is extrovert thinking. But anyways, so what I stake my ego on is my own personal achievement. Like, am I growing and am I seeing progress in whatever area I want to go? And when I see that, I feel fine. I feel content. I feel like my body is telling me and my psyche is telling me, yeah, like we're moving in the right direction. Good. So I really feel like there's a strong part of me that needs to see progress in some way. And this is within myself, like progress within my own projects. So, for example, like even at my most depressed, I was able to get accepted into an incredibly competitive program, which was midwifery at McMaster. I just like, I knew I was really depressed and I'm like, that doesn't help. But I was like, I'm going to do at least one thing per weekend to get me closer to my goal, even if it's a small thing. So like I went to the library and I borrowed books on midwifery and I would read them. And I volunteered for a helpline to help people in crisis, to help me like improve my communication skills, and like I did quite a bit to like, because I wanted it. Like I wanted to get into midwifery. And so I made it happen. And that was really good for me because, you know, I was consistently getting closer and seeing progress on my goal. And that gave me this feeling of like, yeah, I'm moving in the right direction. So when I feel stagnated, which happened because I wasn't fully committed to my engineering job, I'll just be honest there. But now I am. I was like really starting to feel like lack of progress and stagnation. And this is not good for me personally. I don't think everyone works this way, and that's okay. But for me personally, I was like really starting to like not feel good. And now, like 7 months into my job, I feel ready to make the decision. See, this is ESFP for my MBTI homies. ESFP, predicted it. NI inferior, so I have my willpower in my 4th slot, which is my introverted intuition, is basically like making decisions for yourself about where you want to go and what you want in your life. And it's more complicated than that, but for the purpose of what I'm saying. So it takes me an incredible amount of time to look at these rainbow teeth, rainbow grill. Anyways, so it takes like me a long time to make a decision. That's what I'm starting to notice about myself. But once the decision is made and I fully commit to it, it's like hyper speed. I can move incredibly fast towards my goals. And that is TE child. TE child is just a hustler. TE child that's rationale. So how I make decisions is first based on my own emotions. That's introverted feeling, but second on rationale. And I value my rationale to a high degree. It is a source of, and everybody's third function is like this. It's a source of extreme energy to me as long as I'm feeding it. And so my TE is kind of about progress. It connects to what I said about identity and staking my identity on my TE. Basically, I want to see progress, and now I'm seeing it, and like it's not what I expected, but yes, I was like, I need to change my job again, because I said, even in one of my past videos, I'm like, I can't hack this for so long, and nobody can in that state. But now things have changed, and I knew they would, because I asked. I was like, I need things to change, and now they are changing, and for the better, and that's really good. Gosh, it's like a PhD on how to choose a job, I guess, and my PhD has been basically a lot of field work, a lot of research, and I just was like, I feel like I have a breakthrough here. Leaning in, not because I want to be a bad bitch CEO. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it. I don't actually like saying that, bad bitch CEO. That gets into sexism, and sexism is annoying for everyone. And honestly, I'm still kind of salty about Eve not being a saint in the Catholic Church. And if I'm wrong on that, oh my god, this joke is going to flop. But very salty that Eve is not a saint. Like, Saint Mary gets to be a saint. Why? Because she was a virgin, which in the Catholic faith, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but I also want to get out my thoughts on this, and I know this is kind of a tangent, I get it, but it has to be said. It's in my mind. I want it out. It has to be said that, okay, so the Catholic Church, a priest told me, and the sermon, part of their sermon or whatever they call it, their mass, was talking about how actually Mother Mary is very hurt. Her feelings get hurt when you make jokes that she wasn't a virgin when she got pregnant with Jesus, and she is disrespected when people do that. And I was like, that's just a control factor. Like, that's how I see it. And I know it's more complicated than that, like more complicated than my one perspective on this and my one filter onto this issue. But, you know, it's easy to control people with like, hey, you can't question this because if you do, it's blasphemy. Okay, you're actually offending Mother Mary. Like, come on, give me a break. Obviously, we're going to wonder whether you were a virgin or not. So if the true, actual Mother Mary, if you could only apparate and tell me what you think of this, because I want to know, are you actually offended? Because if you are, that's kind of arrogant and you're in heaven. Shouldn't you be like perfect by now? I don't know. That's how things work. Once you die, I don't think you actually just become perfect like that. In fact, I don't even think perfect makes any kind of sense. There's no actual, I think it loses meaning, especially after you die. But yeah, so Mother Mary, like, why are you being so arrogant? Like, you're being offended for people wondering whether you were a virgin or not, and now we're not allowed to question it because we're offending the Mother Mary, who is held in very, very high esteem. And I'm like, why is she held in such high esteem? Is it because she was a virgin? And it makes me feel, as a woman, it makes me feel undervalued and underappreciated. And then there was this really sad thing that happened in, was it Kenya or Nigeria? Happened in an African country where this woman was murdered in a hotel room and by her boyfriend. Well, we think it was her boyfriend. He wasn't arrested yet. But the response to that was that she deserved it because why would she be in a hotel room and she's not married? And I'm just like, does the world still not realize that women are sexual creatures and like sex is not wrong, and exploring that in all different ways is a very independent thing to do that you share with like one person at a time or maybe more, but whatever, it's intimate, you know, it's intimate. So why are we getting into like the business of intimate things for women all the time? And like, we're still at this place where the Bachelor is congratulated when he sleeps with a lot of women, but the women he's sleeping with are always whores. It's not fair. It's not even reasonable. It's not rational. And so how does this connect to Mother Mary? Well, you know, we hold her in high esteem. What about Eve? What about Eve, the very first woman? Why is she not a saint? Like, when we look at Eve, we're just like, thanks for creating original sin, Eve. You enticed your husband, your partner, to eat the forbidden fruit, which, by the way, the forbidden fruit is psychedelics, obviously. And, okay, I don't want to get this wrong. This is just a joke, okay? Just a joke. But the tree of knowledge is basically you realizing you are God. And so God is like, you know, God gave birth to us. We give birth to other gods eventually. We're in the process of becoming gods. That's what Earth basically is. Maybe not for all people. I don't know. If it doesn't resonate with you, then it doesn't, and then I'm wrong. So what? But at this moment, it definitely resonates with me. And that's all about personal agency and manifesting, putting things in your life that you want for yourself, without doing unethical things for other people and hurting other people in the process. Yeah, that's, you know, and life is all full of all these lessons. So, okay, why the heck was Eve not a saint? You know, when we think of Eve, nobody prays to her, and she's the first mother. And I just think of Eve and I'm like, why the heck? Like, she was curious. And and she ate the fruit, like, and then she's like, hey, this was good, here, try this. And I don't think she held a gun to Adam's head, okay, to try that. I could be wrong, but I'm obviously not. So I'm really salty that Eve is not a saint. Like, pretty salty about that. Like, why the heck do we always like, wow, Mother Mary? Like, when you look at Mother Mary and Eve side by side, I'm like, why are they treated so differently? I really like Eve. I like the story of Adam and Eve. I really like that story. I don't know why I like it so much. It's just like, Eve just like gets trampled on completely, her reputation destroyed, original sin created, they lose the garden, and Adam's like, yeah, this is all your fault. Well, I don't know if Adam said that, but certainly her children seem to think it is. So I'm just like, what the heck? Poor Eve. I really love Eve. And if I ever have a baby girl, I think I would name her Eve. I really would. Yeah, I love that name. Eve. Eve. I really love Eve. Adam was good too, don't get me wrong. I mean, Adam was like smart enough to ask for Eve to exist. So thank you, Adam. Yes. I hope that surgery didn't hurt when I was ripped from your ribs. Really, you were kind of like, yeah, okay, the story kind of falls apart at some point when you realize there weren't any other humans around, so the story kind of falls apart at some point. But yeah, really like thinking about that. Okay, so jumping back into like identity, work, leaning into work, not because you want to be a bad CEO, independent boss lady, but because you want good mental health. Yeah. And going with the flow of my own life. And actually, it's not so bad. And part of that is because of COVID. Working from home has also been really wonderful. So I do 3 days from home, 2 days at the office, and this is a good balance for me. I get my time to chat with the coworkers in person, but I get a lot of time to relax at home and not be micromanaged or watched by anyone. And I like it, and I'm trusted to do my job, and then I do my job, and I'm getting good at my job, and I like that. Like, I'm like, yes, once again, I am achieving something. And although I didn't choose engineering for myself directly, I mean, I did choose it, but it took a lot of, well, you know, I was in love with my first boyfriend at the time, I guess. Was that even love? It's so long ago. But, you know, he was the one who told me to go into engineering, and then I did, and then I loved it. And now, once again, I am seeing the rainbows coming back into my life. Like the parts of school that I really, really loved about engineering, because I started out in nursing and I did not like my first year of nursing. Ugh. And then I went into engineering and I was like, yep, this is it. This is for me. And I do fit in with the engineers. I'm a bit weird. Other people sometimes think I'm weird. I don't know why people think I'm weird. I don't think I'm weird. I'm actually not weird. I'm again, that kind of, it's complicated. There's many reasons why, but basically what I'm saying is nurses don't have a tolerance for things that deviate outside of norms, whereas engineers tend to be a lot more open-minded because they're searching for data so that they can use it to build something. So whether that's psyche stuff, but they tend to be very open-minded, so they're way more tolerant of weird people. And so I found that I really, not only did I fit in, I thrived, and I was valued and loved. Like, yeah, I was, like, it's not popular in the sense of high school popularity, and I was not popular in high school. I think people were curious about me for sure, but they probably just thought I was very shy and quiet, which wasn't exactly what was going on with me. Yeah, high school, you know, that's what time. It's a time for everyone, but I wasn't popular. But in school, I wouldn't describe it because I was honestly a troll. Like in elementary school, when the popular kids, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit with them, and I got to the table, I sat with them, like got in the in group somehow, I don't know how. And when I was there, I was very bored listening to their conversations, and they tended to not have a lot of room for weird behavior. So of course I would troll the hell out of them, which would get me kicked out of their groups, and I did not earn my popularity points. In fact, I kind of sabotaged my own popularity in elementary school because I was bored. And then high school, I was more shy and less open to actually getting to know my peers, I think. So, I don't know. I was just shy. I was mostly shy, but I was also, I don't know, I had other things going on in my life, like, and friends from other places, and I don't know, I had a solid group of friends, but they weren't from my school, that group, and anyways, it doesn't matter. But university hits, and yeah, I was not popular in nursing. It was like being at the cool table all over again. Ooh, I remember one time I sat down in a lecture, and literally all the seats around me, it was a packed lecture, but nobody sat beside me on either side. But not only did they not sit beside me on either side, nobody sat in front of me, nobody sat directly behind me, and nobody sat in the catty corners of that either. So I had a square of isolation around me, and I remember just like looking around and being like, what the heck? Like, am I really this unpopular that nobody will sit within my vicinity? Yeah, I don't know, like, I did not fit in. I really didn't fit in nursing. And I think it's more of like a psychic thing. Like, I hid my, like, I wasn't fully committed to nursing, obviously, because I never commit to anything when I first jump into it. I like to test the waters. And, like, god damn those nurses. Like, I love them, but I'm scared of them, but I hate them, but then you need them when you get sick, and then they save your life, and then you're like, well, I'm sad that I thought you were a bitch, and then the nurse is like, well, I am a bitch, and then you're like, what the heck? It's just crazy. Like, the nurses are crazy. One of my dearest friends is a nurse, and yeah, you crazy, and you know it. So yeah, and then engineering hit, and it was night and day. Camaraderie, open-mindedness, and like not only surviving, but thriving and kicking ass and earning that mad street cred. I do kind of care about my reputation points. I don't think that's an arrogant thing. I think that's a competitive thing. And I actually think competition is pretty good for humanity. So if you're jealous, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm still gonna strive to be my best. So yeah, I'm just really pumped. Like, I like being an engineer. Wow. It took a long time coming. I had to deliver lots of babies in order to come to this conclusion. But thank God I did. Because, it was dicey. The world was looking very gray to me, and now it's full of color again. So, yeah. Of course I'm sad about Marley, though. Of course I am. Yeah. And, so what is the take home of this for myself is, Nicole, things can get dicey. The universe is not out to get you. The universe is definitely, I think there are forces within this universe for all of us that truly want the best for us, whatever is in our highest good, which sometimes means learning lessons that are hard to learn. Like, the universe doesn't owe me a baby. Oh, like, wow, that was tricky to learn. Boundaries in dating, tricky to learn. Because I was like, I want to go out and have fun. I was more into an all-female family. I have a father who I live with. My parents are together, but he's the only man in the family. All my cousins were females. All my aunts got divorced before I was born. It was an all-female party growing up. And my mom sent me to Scouts and Beavers with, like, she's like, this is going to help for you to, like, she was worried I'd be too shy to talk to men when I grew up. So she's like, this is going to teach you how to deal with men. Maybe it helped. I don't know. I liked camping. I learned that I love camping through Scouts and Beavers from a early age, and I got to do a lot of camping because of that. But, yeah, boundaries, that was a hard life lesson to learn. I was like, because I'm basically like, I feel like the masculine side of me, or like the masculine energies that live within me, I do feel are actually very balanced with my feminine energies as well. But sometimes my masculine energies are kind of like, but you want what you want and you deserve it. And I'm like, yeah, I deserve it. However, there are consequences, and I am a woman in this 3D reality. So there are consequences to that too. And sometimes it bothers me. Like Eve not being a saint, which is a silly example of that. Or a much sadder example, which I also mentioned earlier in this video. Maybe I should put a trigger warning there. Her name was Velveteen. You can look it up. Velveteen murder. And you'll find that story. It's something that I care about deeply. I think that she deserves justice. I really do. I think that the conversation between men and women, it needs to improve. And I don't mean like between two individuals or whatever, but I mean the energies of what's going on. Like, women are not there to serve men. And I think that we need to start working better together, but there's a lot that I don't know about men, obviously. And I found that like when I'm direct with them, that's better. So like they are different than me, and I really like men. Like if I could be a lesbian, I really would, because I think well, maybe it wouldn't be easier. It probably wouldn't, but in my mind I'm like, ooh, that'd probably be easier. But I really like men. I love men. I'm attracted to men. I really want them to be happy and to feel the way that I feel right now. You know, proud of myself. I'm proud of myself because I had a good month at work. Oh, also, I have paid off one quarter of my student debt, which is a lot. I think I mentioned in a previous video how much I owe. I paid off 1/4 of it in 6 months. How? By cutting out all the unnecessary spending and hustling in terms of like paying it down. And so when I got to the 1/4 mark, I was just like, oh my God, it was so hard, but like I'm seeing the momentum and it is working. And I'm like, yes, like the sacrifice of not taking care of the babies I used to take care of when I was a nanny, you know, maybe it's worth it because I'm starting to see progress, and this is why I made the sacrifice in the first place, was to be self-disciplined and pay off my debt to society, my student debt. So I'm kind of like, wow, like 1/4 of my debt gone because I paid it off. Ooh, I'm feeling proud of myself. Yeah, really proud of myself. Like considering I spent my whole 20s spending money I didn't have. Oh, and now I'm finally in such a beautiful way to be doing it through engineering too. Yeah, I really find that that's beautiful. So I want men, like the collective, like the divine masculine or whatever language you want to use. I want men to feel this way. Like everyone should feel this way about themselves, to be proud of themselves, genuinely proud of themselves. And I think that that's one issue that in society we are grappling with is like the truth is that you have to give yourself your own purpose. So that requires like discipline, it requires knowing enough about yourself, and it requires forgiving the world and other people for the lack that is present in all of our lives. And then it really requires you turning away from that lack and starting to decisively look at the positives and the good, and to just say, I'm manifesting good things into my life, and I'm putting things into my life, and I'm also accepting the things that I can't control. You know, so like right now, maybe I'm not Picasso, but I have a rock and I have pencil crayons and I can create a little rock face. You know, put things in your life that you want in your life for yourself. It's all about self-empowering, you know, and that will save us in the end, like all of us, from these forces that seem to be outside of our control, but they're not. Like, okay, politicians, you don't know who they are. Maybe you know their name, maybe you know their face, you don't know who they are. And you can't talk to them, which is honestly not appropriate. But anyways, you can't talk to them. And that's stress, and now you don't have control. You can't control these things in your life, and it's scary. And I'm saying that actually, yes, we can, but it looks like this. It looks like it's like the Man in the Mirror song, like it really does look like this, and it's beautiful. And I'm not saying that everything's going to be rose-colored glasses for me on here on out, but it is incredibly, I don't know, like it's not going to always be easy life, and I know this. Like my life hasn't always been easy, and I know that for sure in the future there will be obstacles probably, but can I trust myself to handle them? And the more I work hard at my job, the more I feel proud of myself, the more I feel that I trust myself to be able to handle the obstacles. And one obstacle I know is coming up for me, an emotional one, where me and my friend will be separated for quite some time. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about the afterlife, so maybe it's permanent, who knows? But can I come to a place where I can give Marley a good life, give myself a good life, and see it as a blessing and a gift from the universe instead? And that comes with me building the trust in myself. It's really agency is so important. It really is. Secret key, agency. Secret key, secret key, secret key. Balance. And kind club. Kindness does matter, by the way, because we're social creatures. We should be kind and respectful of one another. So yeah, that's my life update for this month. Things have been going really good, actually, in a weird, sort of paradoxical way. Things have actually been really good. And I'm starting to I've committed to my job now, which feels really good, And I'm not upset at myself for being like that. I actually think that I actually like it, that I'm somebody who likes to test the waters. I like to dip my toes in, get a good sense of what's going on, and then decide, is this right or is this wrong for me? Yeah, I think that's an SC Dom trait. I definitely learn by doing and seeing, and so that requires me to kind of go places and do it and see it, and then I know whether I want it or not. And I think that's okay. I think NI Doms are more likely to decide first and then go into it, which gives them this air of wisdom that they have. They're like, oh, you knew to do that. And it's like, well, they're NI Dom. They're good at deciding for themselves what they want. And I'm good too, except that it's a different order stack. So yeah, I know what I want, but it can take me a long time to commit to different things that are like jobs or what else? My direction in life, where I want to go, even something simple like choosing a destination to go travel. I find that also challenging to decide for myself. It takes me a while, and I'm like, what will maximize? And I'm like, it's hard to, okay, so normally if I can try out everything at the buffet of life, then I would do that, and then I know exactly what I want. But sometimes in life, you can't try things out first and before fully committing to them. Kind of like marriage. You commit to a marriage. Marriage, I don't think is easy for anyone. You could have the best possible marriage that has ever existed in the history of humans. Still, I know it was challenging. So, marriage is one of those things where it's like, why do we do it when it's so hard? But then it's rewarding, and it's also kind of necessary, because I think the 3D reality is dangerous, and it's really nice when we can band up. And also, women need support from men. That was the other thing about the conversation between men and women. Women do need men. If I have a baby, and we're out and about, it's going to be really difficult for me to take care of myself and the baby. But if I have one extra person who is responsible for doing that too, good, it works. Single parenting is something that really is, it's too much of a challenge. I don't want it. I don't want to put myself through there. Yeah, I know this, that's not for me. So, I think that is an issue in our society that has consequences to all of our local communities. So, no pressure to men, but I think that maybe your instincts, if I have instinct to have baby, hopefully you have instinct to help take care of baby that you helped create. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm trying to be nice. But yeah, I think that that's really important, and to understand like what is it actually that a man and a woman provide to each other, like what are the actual expectations, because there's a lot of opinions out there and a lot of ideas out there, but I don't know if I don't think all of them are healthy. And so I'm like what is a wife, and what do I expect from a husband? Like what do I actually expect from a husband? And I know this video is getting on long, so I will think about that and probably make another video about it. I will, about what I expect from a husband, because I really have I don't know. I haven't been married yet. Like I don't know. I know what society tells me to think and feel, but society is definitely not always correct about these things. So it's a good idea to think about it on my own. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know. Ooh. Well, I expect him not to leave me when I have a baby and need to help taking care of the baby. And I want to have a good time. You know, it's not like an expectation, but like I would like us to enjoy each other's company, you know? Yeah, I would like to have good sex, obviously. I think everyone wants that. And I want to have good times. It's like, you know, I want good times. I know it's vague. I'll try and parse it out. I'll try and parse that out. Yeah. So anyways, from me and Marley in our Rainbow Room, coming live from the Rainbow Room, I want to say thank you for tuning in and checking out any part of this video if you checked it out. And yeah, lean in for yourself. Lean in for yourself, basically. Lean into your life for yourself. Feels good. Thank God. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe we can create a petition to have Eve sainted, because I think she deserves it at this point. She really do. She deserves it. She did us a solid by eating that fruit. You really want to live in heaven on earth forever without maturing out of it? You know? Becoming your own, doing your own thing, going on your own. I think it was time for that fruit to be eaten. And I think God put that fruit in that garden on purpose. And I think he set us up to do some sinning. Why? Probably for us to learn and then become gods on our own. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. I could be wrong, but usually I'm right about these things. But yeah, don't take it if it doesn't resonate. That's fine. Okay, just so you know, so I don't offend you in our woke ass culture. And I could talk at length on that as well, actually, and I probably will at some point. All right, peace out, Girl Scout. I like you a lot. I hope you're well. And never, like, at my worst, I wouldn't want to beat myself up about not leaning into my own life. You know, we cope because we need to cope. When we get hurt or when we get sick, we need to rest. So if you're in a phase of resting and you're like, I can't lean into my life, that's okay. You know, I think we talk about depression as being a deep rest. Your body's way of really telling you strongly, you need to rest. You know, and you can lie in bed for years and years and think you're not getting better, but sometimes rest looks like different things other than just lying in bed. Yeah, rest is obviously lying in bed, but there's other values of rest. And so no, don't beat yourself up when everyone needs rest. Everyone needs all sorts of rest all the time. You know, and it's actually a form of self-discipline when you learn to respond to that and then to rest. And then when you're ready, to come back. And then when you need to rest again, you rest. And I think over time that kind of comes a bit smoother and less like whoop, 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 whoop. Because it's not good to be depressed like that. So yeah, much love. Peace out, Girl Scout.